I laid outside the school, sitting on the stone steps. From afar I could see the soccer team playing another game on the field. My brown cap sat upon my head, having snuck it to school in my bag. Last night was something terrible, a true night of yelling and arguments. My mother had not taken the 5 vision from me, however, as I'd struck a deal. The deal? Pass every single class with an A this year. Seemed impossible, even I had doubts, but it was the only way out of the situation. Relations with my sister were stressed as well, considering she was the one who sold me out. I didn't give her a chance to explain. I didn't want to.
Sup?
I turned around, seeing the girl known as Naomi standing behind me. She was smiling tiredly, and I could see bags under her eyes. "What do you want?" I asked glumly. I was still stressed out and bummed. I didn't feel so well.
Just to talk to you. I'm bored.
She sat down on the step next to me, pulling a chocolate bar out of her pocket and unwrapping it. I continued to watch the soccer players while a sound of ripping wrappers came from the side.
Here.
She said as she broke off a piece. I managed to smile a bit as I took it, biting down on the chocolate. Its warmth and goodness filled me inside, and I felt a little better than before.
You still mad at your sis?
Chloe? Yeah. She tell you?
I was there. When she came out for dinner, I had to go. But before I left, I saw your mother asking her why you were so quiet. She was never good at lying anyways.
She hadn't given me up on purpose. My mother had forced the information out of her. Sometimes I wish I could just send her away. Naomi reached into her bag, pulling out a notebook and a pencil. On the end of the pencil was a topper shaped like a wand, and the notebook had a large sword sticker on the front. She flipped to several pages, all stricken with notes and writing. She smirked.
You need these, don't you? Chloe told me about your deal with your mom. Maybe, just maybe, I'll let you use them.
My eyes widened when I got to look at them. Answers to the math homework for the rest of the year? Where'd you get these? I exclaimed. She giggled evilly.
Can't tell. I have a source, but I have been asked not to give out their name. So maybe you can have them.
How? What do I gotta do? She took my hand.
Give me the name of the artist of those drawings the other day.
What?
Kidding! I'll call in the favor when I need to.
Naomi said. She threw the notebook over to me and I caught it, stuffing it into my bag. I got up off the ground, grabbing my backpack and swinging it over my shoulder. "I'll see you later, Naomi. Got some stuff to take care of," I told her before I left. She nodded and got up as well.
See you around.
Shortly after, I arrived home and faced the horrible demon I called Mother, along with my sister. My mom was in the kitchen, washing the dishes from last night. Chloe was sitting at the table, eyeing me. She was waiting for me to come home. I took no notice of her and walked upstairs. Halfway up, I heard the sound of a chair being pushed out from the table. The stairs behind me began to creak as I came through the doorway, not closing the door behind me for once. Chloe came through.
You just left it open?
"Heard you coming. What is it?" I asked as I began hooking up the 5 vision. Chloe reached into her bag, pulling out a candy bar. She put her hand out and kept it there.
Peace offering?
I sighed. Candy was my weakness. I took the candy bar and set it down on the desk, laying down on the bed right after.
Going back in?
"Yeah, I have to." She took my hand, yanking me away from the 5 vision. I looked up at her. She knew that I knew what she did.
I'm sorry. Can you forgive me?
"Well, maybe." She glared at me. She knew that I wanted to strike a deal. And I did. "I'll forgive you if you do all my chemistry homework," I said as I put my hand out. She scoffed.
Really? You told Mom you would pass all your classes.
"That's what I plan on doing, but I can't do it alone. I'm not a genius. So if you can, just do my homework for that one subject," I asked her. She sighed.
All right.
I smiled and she put her hand out. I took it and we shook. "All right, I'm going in." "Close the door?" She nodded, turning around and walking out the door. As I slipped on the headset, I heard the door creak and close. That was the last thing I heard before my vision went white. DragonLight Online.
Welcome.
I opened my eyes and saw the familiar darkness. In front of me, in big letters, was the word welcome, and under that was a sphere. The floating circle lowered itself down to my height, and I pressed the red button on it.
Choose your world.
Knowing what I would do already, I chose the fantasy one.
You have chosen the Etelin realm. Prepare yourself for a world of magic, swords, and demons.
The surroundings began to flash once more before finally stopping like it did before. In front of me came two figures, one of a man and one of a woman.
Choose your gender.
I put my hand on the left figure of the man, and my body began to change, gaining masculine features but still looking like a sparkly white spirit. The world began to flash black and white before the character wheel pulled up.
Choose your weapon class.
It spun the wheel around till the swordsman class came up. I clicked on it, causing my body to change. A mirror then appeared in front of me, and I looked at myself in it. My avatar looked pretty much the same as before, besides one main feature. A silver streak was on the left side of my longish black hair. I wasn't sure why I was there now, but not before, but it didn't look that bad.
Welcome, swordsman. Please choose your username.
A box appeared in front of me, a holographic keyboard appearing right under it. Same username as last time. Aldren. I hit the enter button and the keyboard and box disappeared. My body then flashed. The name had been input. The darkness then began to change and I could feel myself fading away.
Aldren, prepare for a new world. Begin.
I opened my eyes and looked at it. A dirt path, blue skies, a shining sun. I was back in Varlin Village.
I told you he would spawn looking that way.
Recognizing the two voices, I turned around to see three figures smiling at me. Kira and Lyra, the Fox sisters, and Jack, the mysterious high-level player. Guys, you're here? I asked in awe. Kira smiled.
We were waiting here, hoping you'd get back on. Wasn't hard to recognize you. The 5 vision scans your entire body and creates sort of a look-alike.
They were all there. They hadn't forgotten about me. They hadn't gone on. They came back. Jack then came forward, holding a glowing orb. What is it? I asked him.
The drops from the boss. If it wasn't for you, Kira couldn't have casted the finishing spell. We decided to give you the loot. Well, except for the spellbook she took.
Kira giggled, holding a big brown book to her body. I smiled as well. Everyone was happy. Jack dropped the sphere and I caught it, a small white box appearing over it. 10,000 EXP, 14 random weapon modifications, and an item called a celestial flute and an outfit set. Thank you, guys. All of you, I said with tears in my eyes. People that actually cared about me. I hadn't known someone like that for a long time. I looked over the shining white sphere, seeing it begin to fade. It exploded into sparkles, and I could see white energy flowing along my arms. My inventory automatically opened and showed me the items I'd received. A new outfit labeled Hidden Wrath armor set. I also had several new crystals, including more resistance crystals and some other hidden ones. Hidden items. Some items encountered in the game are hidden, which means you must find the hidden merchant to reveal what the item is to you. You can either use it without knowing or reveal its effects by finding the merchant. A merchant can be found in most cities and bases. There was also something else. The EXP had gone into my level, and now I was level 12. I then realized I hadn't seen the others' levels. Jack was level 40, which I'd realized a while ago, and Kira was level 11, while Lyra was level 24. At least I wasn't lowest. Jack then sighed and opened up his inventory menu. We looked at his hand to see a small brown baggie appear in his palm.
I'm heading off to the Frost Plains. Maybe I'll see you guys again,
he said before scooping out a bit of silver powder from the baggie with his hand. He threw it to the ground, creating a large smoke cloud around him. When it cleared, he was gone, leaving nothing but a single item lying on the ground. It was a small, shining rod, the tip a white crystal and the rod made of silver. Runes were engraved into the rod as well.
The champion's wand?
Kira walked over to it and knelt down, about to pick it up. But before she could grasp it, Liru stopped her.
Wait, if you touch it, then won't it bind to you?
Champion items. Defeating a boss will award one champion item no matter how many players battle at one time. Whoever touches the champion item first will have the item binded to them for life.
Well, Kira is the only mage here. It makes sense to give it to her. She smiled and grabbed the wand, the item shining upon touching her fingers. She picked it up and waved it around. a wave of white energy streaking across the crystal. Liru then looked to me.
You've got a new outfit, right?
The two of them led me over to a house near the town hall, where the world map was. On the door it read Outfit Customization Room, and according to Liru, it would act as a pocket dimension of some sort. If someone walked in, they'd be transported to their own copy of the house. If another person walked in, they'd be transported to a copy of the same room. I walked up the wooden steps onto the deck and came up to the door. Slowly I pushed it open, and instead of a room, it was a white portal-like doorway. I walked through it, and when I came out I was in a room. It was small, the floors were wooden, with a small carpet in the middle, and there were several beds. I walked towards the bed and began to slip off my outfit, taking off my shirt and dropping it onto the bed. After taking off my pants and leaving myself in nothing but boxers, I opened my inventory. On the 8th slot was an item known as Dark Knight Armor Set, which I tapped with my finger. In my hand came the armor set, materializing and falling onto the bed. After changing into the new outfit, which took a bit because it was a bit new to me, I looked in the mirror. It looked slightly like the warlock's tattered blue and gold robes, except these were silver and black. The outfit consisted of long black trousers with runes sewn into the sides with gold. The shirt was the same, with metal armor covering the shoulder and elbows and runes sewn into the sleeves. There was also a long black cloak that I clipped around my neck. As I walked out of the house, the two of them looked right up at me. Kira's tail was moving back and forth as she waited for me to get down, and Liru was simply swinging her sword back and forth.
You ready, Cheese Puff?
Asked Liru as she yawned. Yeah. Where are we going? Liru opened her bag, pulling out a scroll. She then tapped her finger on one of the 10 symbols on the outside. The scroll opened up, revealing a map of a desert.
Oops, wrong one.
She closed the scroll once more and tapped on one of the other symbols. The scroll unscrolled itself again, and this time it was the world map.
Storage scrolls. Storage scrolls can be bought at vendors in towns and markets and can store up to 10 different scrolls per item. Upon entering a new area, it will automatically add the map of that area to your scroll, and the world map is automatically added upon purchase. Other scrolls, such as spell lists or symbols, can be added simply by pressing a blank space onto whatever you wish to copy.
Liru showed us all the scroll, moving her finger from Varlin village through the Warlock forest over a large grass field and took her finger off the paper at Bandora City.
It's the largest city in the game, though I heard more are being constructed. Anyway, I suggest we go there. Then I can get back to my shop.
Shop? Are you a merchant? I asked. They both realized they'd never explained.
Oh, I run one of the shops in the player shop district. I'm a blacksmith.
He explained. I looked down at my sword, drawing it from my sheath. According to Dunlass, the sword wasn't very strong. If Liru was a blacksmith, could she upgrade it? The three of us left Varlin village shortly after, walking out the front gates and through the safe zone barrier. Several newbies were fighting off warlocks at the forest, dodging their magic and using their own to combat them. We came onto the path, the same path that I met Liru. I could see several small holes in the ground off the side of the path, and Kira noticed them too. A bit of water appeared in the corners of her eyes as she saw it, and she looked away immediately. That was where she had summoned Velok, her golem. However, it had been killed by the Warlock King during the boss fight. You can still summon him back, right? I asked her. She sniffled.
No, his body was destroyed before the spell was finished. If I try again, it'll just create a new one.
She must have been attached to this golem. Being attached to a spell seemed a bit weird, but I just went along with it. I put my arm around her shoulder as we walked, Liru walking ahead with her sword out and ready.
Guys!
We broke away and I went for my sword, seeing what was in front of us. Liru was staring down something that was right in front of her. We both moved to the side and stared at the small black creature. A bat?
Sister, that's just a bat.
No, it's not.
Suddenly the bat changed, warping and phasing until the darkness turned it into a separate figure. 2 legs, 2 arms, a head and a body. Long black hair and pale skin along with a long black robe.
Well, well, well. Look who we have here. The little fox and her friends.
Liru stepped backwards, but that was useless. Kira and I looked to the sides of the path and watched as 2 cloaked figures emerged from the forest on both sides. Kira walked over to Liru and whispered in her ear.
Who is that?
She was a customer at my shop once. I refused her service because she broke one of my swords on display. Her name is Zarya.
Lyra whispered back.
That you did.
The woman said. Her hearing must have been boosted. She smirked.
So now, I think I'll have a little fun. Boys, take them.
I quickly swung my sword and blocked an attack as one of the masked men swung at me, his sword smashing down into mine. The second one came and I broke away from the first, clashing twice with the second before being forced back. Kira seemed to be doing a bit better. She had used her magic to restrain one with a set of vines and was attempting to get the second one. However, he was using a staff and was burning through the vines with a simple fire attack. Liru had drawn her sword and was now fighting Zarya. She was using her sword to block the magic attack Zarya was sending at her with her staff. She cut right through a sphere of fire and sliced into a beam of water, but was hit head-on with a ripple of dark magic. Soon we were all forced back to back, completely surrounded. Zarya laughed at our miserable attempt to fend her off, smashing her staff into the ground. A cage appeared around us, constructed of bones and blood dripping down the bars. Zarya then smiled, grabbing Liru's arm and ranking her right through the bars. She fell to the floor, and Zarya hit her staff against the ground twice. A sword materialized in her hand, and she slowly moved the blade to Liru's neck.
Sister!
Liru! We both reached through the bars, but couldn't do a thing. She rose the sword, ready to strike her down.
Wait! Kira! Don't!
Kira dropped her own wand, ripping the champion's wand from her belt. However, the champion items couldn't be used till someone was level 50. A large beam of black energy burst from the tip, breaking straight through the bones and shooting straight at Zarya's body. She screamed in pain as it consumed her, sending her flying backwards. Kira began to shudder, and her eyes turned dark black as she swung the wand, killing all 4 of her enemies by whipping the blade through their bodies. Liru laid on the ground and watched in horror. Finally, Kira let go, the wand falling to the path. She dropped, hitting the ground as I jumped to catch her. I managed to catch her in my arms as she shook, looking a bit pale. I put my palm on her forehead. It was heating up. Can people get sick in here? I exclaimed. Liru nodded.
Sickness. There are viruses in DragonLight Online, ranging from extreme frostbite from being bitten by a frostwolf, or just the common cold from, well, whatever you get it from. Using an item while below its level use range may give you a sickness known as hex blindness. Hex blindness, a virus used for using an item below its level use range. Symptoms include sore body, slight paralyzation, extreme fever, ice-cold blood, dizziness, and extreme blindness. It can only be healed by the hex healing spell that could be learned by level 20 plus clerics.
Kira shook, reaching out her hand and taking her sister's as she whimpered. Her eyes no longer had the cute green color, but were completely enveloped by darkness.
Please help me.
Aldren, we gotta get her out of here. Now!
Liru helped up her sister, putting her arm around her. Before we could leave, 2 warlocks spawned on the path. Keep going. I'll keep you covered. They began to run down the path, and I drew my sword, charging at one. Flame Blitz! A flaming slash cut upwards through the monster before it exploded, and I turned around to see the other. I threw my sword at it, and the blade stabbed into the warlock's skull. I dashed towards the sword and reclaimed it as the body exploded, and I raced back down the path towards Liru and Kira, picking up the master wand that laid on the ground. We had to help her. Otherwise, well, I didn't even know.